Yesterday, there was big news that came out about the 4680, where there was 20 million that have now been built in Texas, and it was specified as Texas. That gave us a lot of new information to think about. Brian and I were back and forth on texts, trying to figure out what it really meant. And then the limiting factor really helped us get to some better conclusions and decided this is really, really good news. So, Brian, thank you for coming on and helping to sort this all out.
Yes, very happy to be here.
Okay, great. Well, you've been following 4680 for a very, very long time. I think you did a chapter on that in the Elon Musk mission, maybe even more than one chapter on the 4680. And if we're honest, we all feel like the 4680 is behind what it should be or could be, or maybe what Tesla was hoping it would be. Right. This news, at first, I'm thinking, man, only 10 million more in 4 months.
Yeah.
Then the limiting factor kind of helped me see that maybe it's not all such a doesn't sound as bad as it did at first blush. So what was your takeaway?
So the main thing for me is that it's at 5 gigawatts, 5.1 gigawatt hours per year run rate, right? So you can break that into the monthly, 4.5 million cells or whatever. But the thing is, we're growing at 21% per month.
So that was the big thing, 21% per month.
Right. And the line was designed for 20 to 25 gigawatt hours per year for the full line.
For just one line.
From just one line. Right. So that means 6 months and the line is done. No more ramping. It's fully ramped.
So assuming they can continue at least 20% per month, and compounding is wonderful, especially when it's compounding by the month. Right. So we're compounding at 20% per month. That would take us 6 months for the first line to be completely 100% ramped up.
Right, because it will roughly double every 3 months.
Got it.
So, 20%, 20%, 20%, multiply, roughly a double every 3 months. So that means in 6 months, you go 4 times. So 4 times 5 and a bit, you're at that 20 some gigawatts per line, right? So then it's just a matter of like, well, if I'm going to be there, I'm at the promised land in 6 months, right? I have 3 other lines in Texas ready to go. I got the equipment; it's kind of all there. I haven't not held back on installing it because basically I know I need to have the equipment, right? So it's just a question of getting them staffed up and running the lines, right? So then all of Texas would be at 100 gigawatt hour run rate. The thing that they talked about back in Battery Day, 3 years ago now?
Right.
They would have 200 gigawatts. So the reason they said, okay, 100 gigawatts then and then big numbers is because they're copy pasting the line to all these other things. And each one, they said, okay, 50% lower capital cost. So other places, China, other places, they talk about roughly about 40 to 70, $80 million per gigawatt hour per year for each factory. Right. So, but they said they would be more efficient, which I think means a little bit less than the Chinese factories. But even if it's the same number, let's say it's $30 million per gigawatt hour per line, 100 gigawatt hours is $3 billion.
Right.
$3 billion for my 4-line, 100 gigawatt hours per year, right? So Tesla's got $20-some billion in cash. And if they pop up 6, 7 more batches of the four lines, then they can get to, let's say it's 5 of them, right? So there's 20 lines, that's 500 gigawatt hours per year run rate.
Right. So, we know certain things, though. We at least think we know, because that's what they've said, is that they plan 500 gigawatt hours in Reno, and they plan at least 100 gigawatt hours in Berlin, and apparently another 100 gigawatt hours in Texas. So if you just add those together, you're at 800. You're getting really close to a terawatt hour just from the known plan. And again, equipment apparently already on the ground in Berlin.
Right.
And can't imagine that they're not already planning out what they're going to do in Reno. So it seems like, well on the way to that 1 gigawatt.
Right. And the thing is,
1 terawatt.
And that 100 gigawatts in Texas, that's 4 lines.
4 lines.
100 gigawatt hours in Berlin, 4 lines.
Nice.
4 of these ramped lines,
right?
And the Reno thing, 500 gigawatts, 20 lines. It's not that much. And then each one is only $3 billion per 4. So then we're talking about $15 billion max of CapEx in Reno, $3 billion in Texas, $3 billion. So it's super good use of their fund, because if I'm getting 100 gigawatt hours out of each one, that's $40 to $60 billion per year in product. Mega packs, Cybertrucks,
semi-trucks,
everything, right? So if you unleash the battery beast for Tesla, and they said, we've temporarily, reached some, no battery shortage. This would be truly unlimited batteries. It would be throw up the lines and make the batteries, because that's what Tesla is. They take raw materials, make them into batteries, make them into products that make a load of money. And then they add on software to make even more money, right? So raw materials, and they start up the lithium factory, make batteries, products, huge amounts of dough, and sending our stock price to the moon. So
even more verticality, because they're making their own cathode. They have their own cathode factory in Austin, and they have their own refinery now in Corpus Christi, which is supposed to be coming on board, ready to start producing actual product in January or February. So
we haven't talked about the tax credits.
And then there's the tax credits on top of all of it.
Yeah. Right. Tax credits for the batteries, tax credits for the mega packs, tax credits up the wazoo.
Just in Texas alone, isn't the tax credit on 100 megawatts at $45 a kilowatt? Isn't that $4.5 billion in tax credits?
That's right. That's right. Which is more than the cost of your battery factory. The $3 billion for battery factory, which might only be $2 billion, right?
Yeah.
So you get it back once you've ramped and made batteries in tax credits.
Right.
And you probably got tax incentives to make your battery factory as well. In state, please make your battery factory here, blah, blah, blah. Like the Nevada governor probably said, here, have some money, here's some other stuff, other discounts, right? Yes. So it's almost like we're paying you to please make loads and loads of money.
Now, neither one of us, we want to be clear, neither one of us have ever set up a battery production line. Okay. Right. So when I ask the next question, we are both speculating like crazy. Yeah. But is there any, in your kind of vision of what's going on over there, is there any reason to fully ramp Austin's first line before they begin to ramp line 2, 3, or 4?
That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Like even if there was some kind of constraint compatibility, you would build them out. It's like there's 80% that has to be done, no matter what. Building already done. Big equipment, has to be done, right? So then there's some. Maybe you don't hire or transfer the people, right? But then even that is like you have to do it, because when I did my MBA, there was the People airline case study, which was like, how do you ramp this thing up? And it was like, in order to make the most money from this airline business case, you had to hire the pilots and get the plane to do the stuff. You cannot just start flying routes before you load up on people and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
The infrastructure, everything has to be there.
Right. So all this stuff has to be there, and you kind of like, and then even then it's like, I have to spend some months going from, even if I have all the technical stuff solved, I have to spend some time doing some trial runs. It's like the Shanghai factory, in the ideal case, 9 months to get to full production, even though I already was doing the same thing in Fremont. It wasn't like trying to master new processes.
Right.
It still takes time to do it. So if I'm going to have everything solved in roughly 6 months, they should be the people hired working it out so that they can align and get everything going.
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of thinking, because I've never done it with batteries. I've certainly done it with, blow mold machines or injection molding equipment or with printing equipment or whatever. And it would seem to me that there's a point at which, whether right now they're at 5%, no, they're not. It's more than that. They're at 20% capacity on line one.
Yeah.
So they've ramped up 20% of what they intend to do on that line. Whether it's at 25 or 35 or 50, there's a place at which the engineering issues are behind them. Or they would speculate and believe, you know what? The engineering issues now are solved. Getting to 100% capacity here is really just a matter of dialing it up. We're not trying to find a way to make any of the parts thinner. We're not trying to find a way to make any of the equipment not bottleneck at some point. We've kind of got all that stuff figured out, and we're just going to speed it up, add more shifts, add more people. So at that point, if you think you've got all the engineering solved, it would seem like that would be the time you could literally start putting humans on a second line, and then on a third line, and then on the fourth line as they begin to ramp up the entire factory.
And the other thing is that they could be wrong about 25 gigawatt hour per line being the ultimate end goal. Maybe after they actually did it, we only got to 15 gigawatt hour, which, their 5 gigawatt hours is already 20-30% over most other places. Most other places have 4 gigawatt hours per line, like the Panasonic thing with 40 gigawatt hours. I think they have 12 lines, 13 lines.
Yeah.
So they have 2 gigawatt hours per line, making the 2170s, right? So they're already beyond that, right? They're multiples beyond that. And if they can, once they're at 10, it's totally economic to spend $3 billion on a, 4-line, 40 gigawatt hour factory, and to stamp those out. If that was somehow where you had to settle, right? And so then again, it's $2 or $3 billion. If I need to spend $10 billion so I can make the battery, so I can get to $40 to $60 billion worth of product, right? Again, it's still worth it. And I'm going to get $4.5 billion back per year.
From the
tax credits, right? So the economics are already very, very good.
Yeah.
If only got stuck at 5 gigawatt hours, it still works.
Right. And then on the demand side, if I remember correctly, you did an analysis a while back, I think it was you, where you were trying to figure out what would they actually need in the near term if they were using 4680s, for all the Model 3s, Model Ys, the trucks, and they would never use those, at least with this chemistry, in storage. They might do a second chemistry
LFP 4680
or something like that. But I don't think you were counting the mega chargers at that time, or the power walls, just for the Model Y and the trucks. I think you were thinking that 100 megawatt hours was going to be enough to cover a lot.
No, I think 600 to a terawatt hour, 600 gigawatts to a terawatt hour for, some certain assumptions around, scaling up stuff. Every, 100 gigawatt hours gives you about, I forget, a few million, Model Ys and something like that. So you want to, scale up, to I think currently they're a little over 100 gigawatt hours.
That's what they're using now.
Yeah. They're using now for 1.8 million cars.
From every place. Yes. Yeah. So if they their own facility doing 100 megawatt hours, they would be basically able to cover all of their own needs as of today. If that's 50% or 60 or 70% bigger next year, they would, let's say at 200 megawatt hours by next year.
Gigawatt hours, yeah.
I'm sorry, gigawatt hours, they would be at a level that would allow
triple what they are today.
what they need.
Plus all the batteries they gain from other people. Right.
So then they could dramatically increase, let's say, the mega pack production.
Right.
And maybe that's part of the whole back also. Maybe they want to make mega packs using 4680 form factor with the less expensive chemistry.
Right. So, the demand is clearly there. Like if you could, make the mega packs, and then even if somehow, customers are slow to do it, there's a certain number that they themselves need in order to make supercharging stations and all that other stuff. Yes. Right. So, so just like their own customer for launches, for 80% of their launches on SpaceX, because they're launching all Starlinks, they can give it to themselves in order to build it up.
Yes. And then you also, there's also the possibility of selling 4680s to other car manufacturers or truck manufacturers as well. So if they have plenty, they could all of a sudden become a supplier, since they would clearly be the least expensive maker. And
that's the least expensive one in the United States.
Right? Well, but then you add in the IRA.
Right. But like GM had to cancel.
Didn't you figure out they were practically going to make them for free by the time that they get the best price in the world for lithium, refine it themselves, do their own cathodes, and then get the IRA money? The batteries are almost free.
That's right. Yeah, in 2-3 years, it's free and they're being paid to make them. But the thing is, GM just had to, or Ford had to cancel that CATL factory, because of China interest and stuff like that. So now a pure U.S. 4680 factory, if the other guys want to have their tax credits and stuff like that, they say, okay, yeah, we're going to pay CATL. Well, CATL versus paying Tesla, like who cares at that point? They're paying someone else to do it.
Right. If it's cheaper and better, if it's cheaper and is good or better, and then
cheaper, better U.S. production, and then also U.S. production. That's more kudos to them.
Right.
For other stuff. Just the one problem would be that if GM has said that they got to let unionized workers in every factory they do, then they'd have to say, okay, well, it'd have to be their factory. They sell it to them, and they don't have GM UAW workers in a Tesla battery factory.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure that's how the contract would work. I think the contract said if GM has a factory. Did they really say they would only buy the batteries?
No, they're not. Because they're buying from half their stuff from non-union shops anyway, or more.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So the good news here is with my first blush, I saw the thing come out and I said, only 10 million more in 4 months? That doesn't seem, and I started making some divisions and multiplications and stuff. And I thought, well, what the heck? But then there's the beauty. As we all know, if anybody that's in finance, anybody that pays any attention to the stock market, the bond market, or how to invest their money knows that, this whole business of 20% times 120%. Times 120%, times 120%, it makes a big difference. So now one last thing though, I just thought of this again. We don't know they can continue to ramp at 20% a month.
Right, we don't know.
Might slow down, might speed up.
Yeah.
But the limiting factor in his analysis said that he believed that this ramp would continue. Now, I don't know whether he's basing that on conversations with other battery manufacturers or insiders at Tesla, or whether he's, just taking everything that he has amassed over the last 3 or 4 years that he's been doing this kind of science and trying to figure things out. But he was, according to him anyway, and I didn't look at his numbers, but he said, according to him, this 20 million in October was spot on to his prediction.
And the other thing is that, like I said, even if you get stuck, at this point, if you got stuck for a while, you should be stamping them out. You need the freaking batteries.
Right. Put 5 over here and 5 over here and 5 over here. What's the difference if it's 5 times 4 or whether it's 5 on one line?
Yeah, like Fremont's not the perfect factory.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we made an imperfect factory and then we make later factories because we're not going to be stuck with just this.
Right.
We will make more.
Right.
So and then it unleashes hundreds of billions of dollars of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, Brian. Well, I knew we had to do this, and I thank you that you were able to just break away and help me understand it as usual. And hope that everybody else out there got something from this. Be sure to follow Brian on nextbigfuture.com, his #1 in the world science blog, where this information is posted. If you want to go look at the numbers a little deeper, he's just posted on nextbigfuture.com. And, you can follow both of us on Patreon as well. Both of us would certainly appreciate that. Okay, Brian, thanks again.
Thanks.
And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you. If you don't mind, I do want to pitch my little device here. I have these little devices for $25. You can't believe how cool this is. Look at how thick the stainless. I mean, holy mackerel! It comes in a camo as well. It's a can opener. I mean, I'm sorry, not a can opener, a bottle opener. So you got your bottle opener here too, and it's got a magnet on the back, so you can slap it up on your fridge. I mean, is this good or what? So anyway, you just send $25 to my PayPal account. It's down in the information below. Just click on there. You can send it 20. Now, if you're out of the country, I got to charge you an extra $20 for freight. So, or if you join my Patreon, I'll give you one at the $10 level. I'll give you one for free.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.